Alright, today on the channel we're going to be taking a look at this latest hard drive retro emulation device from JMachen. Comes in this hard shell carrying case, which a lot of times, a lot of these things are now pretty much all standard. Here's the hard drive itself, 5 terabytes, claiming over 60,000 games, including hundreds of AAA titles. USB 3.0 enabled. A couple of controllers inside. These are actually a little bit different than what I'm used to. I'm used to standard knockoff PlayStation 2 controllers, but these actually feel a little bit better. Aesthetics pretty ugly. That red, white, and blue just looks really goofy to me. But buttons feel nice. Triggers, analog sticks, very nice. Pretty lengthy USB cable. And we have a black one. This one looks much better in my opinion. Turbo and clear buttons in the front, select and start. Rumble functionality, so nice improved controllers here. And that is it. Like I said, just pretty standard run-of-the-mill stuff, but the hard drive is the bread and butter of this package. Like I said, over 60,000 games included. Has different emulation systems, front ends, so it's got Retrobat Emulation Station, Launchbox, and Playnite. So we'll check out all three of those different front ends and see what the emulation is like. Obviously the emulation on this is only going to be as good as what you plug it into, so if you're trying to plug this into like a Windows 95 PC, obviously the gaming is going to be pretty terrible experience for you. But if you got a newer computer that's been made in the last couple of years, this ought to be good enough to connect and play any of your old school favorite retro video games. So let's go ahead and check it out. Alright, so you have the drive plugged into your PC. Obviously you're going to want to head and navigate and find the actual hard drive location. Double click on it, you'll see a couple of executable applications, but first I recommend going to this README document. And it says for operating systems, Windows 8, 10, and 11, then it shows device specifications. Now this is actually a snapshot of whatever they were using to put this README instruction together. This isn't necessarily minimum requirements, but I will say you can get away with less requirements than what is shown on the screen to run a lot of the emulators and retro video games on this. However, for the more advanced systems, PlayStation 2 and above, and these newer PlayStation 3 and PC games that are on this hard drive, you're definitely going to want something that is close to these device specifications. And I'll go ahead and put timestamps down in the video description box below, that way you can fast forward and check out any of the games you want to see emulated and or the applications like Launchbox, Emulation Station, or Playnite's front ends. So they've got this broken down into 3 different executable applications. Each one of them has its own pros and cons, but we'll go ahead and start with Emulation Station. This is what most people are going to be the most familiar with. Click it open. And here we have the Emulation Station front end. As you can see over to the left, it says 54,055 games in total. That's every game that is on here. On the right hand side, you got your various arcade systems and your categories. So arcade, favorites, light gun games, never played. And as you can see over there on the left hand side, it'll show you how many games is in each subcategory. Even has achievements, that's neat. Arcade vertical games, your CPS systems. It's even got it broke down by different manufacturers and publishers, which is nice. Lots of different categories. So if you just want beat 'em ups, board games, casinos, you can see they've really got this broken down into each very minute category. Not just your basic PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, that type of thing. No, they've got each kind of category for your genres as well as your systems. So you get into the systems now. Arcade games. Shows only 11, but that's because the majority of them are under this MAME folder. You know, you got your Atari systems, even, you know, Jaguar, which is impressive. 67 games under Jaguar. What else we got? As you can see, we got some nice animations for everything. Your entire Nintendo systems are going to have everything in the catalog. Virtual Boy. Ew, Nintendo 64 disk drive. That's a rare one. You don't see a whole lot of that. You got Nintendo DS. You got Nintendo 3DS. Got your more advanced arcade stuff, so Atomiswave, Sega M2, which is nice, Sega Model 3, one of my personal favorites, Naomi. So yeah, very easy to navigate. Even has it broke down by 2-player games, 4-player games, so a lot of games on here. So we'll go ahead and get some emulation going and see how this works.
The next checkpoint. Great! What a trick! Never used such a trick in spots. Some great air! Absolutely wild. Can't wait to see some extraordinary shots fired there. Some great air. Absolutely wild. Can't wait to see the next one. Some extraordinary shots fired there. What a trick. Never knew such a trick was possible.
Interception! Oh, first down! Good night, Irene. Second down. Going down.
Freeze! Go, go, go! Fire! There!
Get ready, fire!
Alright, let's go ahead and check out Launchbox. This should be much more advanced games, so the newer stuff like PlayStation 2 and above, and sure enough, yeah. So one thing I noticed on the Emulation Station, it was missing Nintendo 64, and I thought that was odd. Well, here it is. Here's all your Nintendo 64 games, your Nintendo Entertainment System, not really sure why it's on there, your Gamecube games, and it's pretty much the entire catalog, to the best of my knowledge anyway, at least the major titles. It's alphabetized. You got your Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1, 2, and PSP, and Super Nintendo. So any of the systems you were wondering like, hey, why isn't this on Emulation Station? Well, it's because it's on this nice Launchbox. So let's go ahead and check out some of these games, scroll through real quick, and my God, there is a bunch of them. Look at that. Like I said, alphabetized, you name it, one of your favorite games, one of these systems, you better believe it's going to be on here. So enough scrolling. Let's go ahead and play some of these. Check out how it works.
Tornado punch! Devastating blow! That was huge! Giant knee! The Warrior going up! Ah, bringing out the big guns early. Wow! Gorilla press slam!
Use key to open treasure chests.
Nothing but the bottom of the net. Gatling. And it's good. Hands off to Hill. Dishes to Stackhouse. From the arc. Hill. It is!
finally we'll open up the last one, Playnite. Now, I believe this is going to be the newest games. Yeah, computer games, got all sorts of stuff. Very similar format to Launchbox and Big Box, very easy to distinguish what the games are. Wow, we got some very new games on here. This is impressive and scary at the same time, but you just go ahead and find whatever game you want to play and double click it and you should be good. Let's see what kind of options we have. Statistics, different view settings. There we go, we get a little bit of information, what kind of game, but we'll just go with the traditional one. This one looks the best. Quite impressive how many games they got on here. So let's go ahead and check some out.
Spiral Spike! Spiral Spike! Spiral Spike!
You're safe now.
When it comes to your old school retro video games, this will play pretty much all those retro home game consoles without issues. It's when you start getting into the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and those newer PC games that you really want to make sure that you've got an up-to-date PC really spec'd out. That way you can have the best performance and capabilities while trying to play these games. At the end of the day, this 5 terabyte hard drive packs a powerful punch. I mean, this is your one-stop shop for all things retro video games. Assuming you've got a computer powerful enough to play all these games, this is, you know, your dream come true because it does all the legwork for you, finds all the ROMs, has all the emulators all set up, great user interfaces, multiple options, so if you don't like one, you can go use a different one. Launchbox is personally my favorite on here, so that is the way I would personally go. But, you know, you can also check out the Playnite and the Retrobat and the Emulation Station and change the multiple themes. You can do all sorts of great things like you normally could. You can save your video games, you can load your video games, you can change aspect ratio, add bezels, you name it, you can do that in these front ends. So very awesome, very impressed with this, but there were some quirks, namely when I was trying to test the Nintendo 3DS games, could not get those to work. It just kept crashing. Some of the more advanced MAME games, so things like Killer Instinct, NFL Blitz, the files are actually on there, which is great, but they failed to add the CHD files. So those games won't play without adding those CHD files yourself. It's very simple, just drag and drop it into the ROM folder. However, that is a quirky thing that I did feel is worth noting. So if you're trying to get Killer Instinct, NFL Blitz, a lot of those Midway Atari games to play, make sure you remember to manually add the CHD files yourself. But other than that, overall it was a pretty good experience, and I can say this is a highly recommended product. If you're interested in picking one up, I'll go ahead and put a product link in the video description box below. And that does it for this video review. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, share this video with your friends if you found the information helpful, and as always, thanks for watching, guys. It really means a lot.